Hello, welcome to another Reaper blog video. Today we're doing a showcase of the McSequencer script for Reaper, which is essentially FL Studio's Step Sequencer grid made for Reaper. I think it works really well. Let's get into it. So here is the script page on the Reaper forum. I will have a link in the description to where you can get this, where you can read about this. And if you need any support for this script, this is the place to go. Arthur McArthur says, here's a step sequencer for Reaper I've been working on for the past few months. It uses MIDI items and RS5K as well as pattern items to achieve a pattern-based workflow. Drag one or more sounds into the step sequencer window to add them. Left-click drag on the steps, inserts notes, right-click drag, deletes them. This is themable. This has all the essential controls for RS5K when you're using that with this. All the info is here. And yeah, go there for more information. Yeah, I think it's pretty great. So to install this, you need reapack and the REAPER GUI extension that includes, along with the SWS extension. And then once it's installed, you will open it from the action list, type MCS, it should come up as a first one there. So here's how it looks. When you first load it, it will have a track for pattern sequencing, as well as the first track, first instrument layer here. So at the top, there's the pattern navigation. We have multiple patterns. We'll see this. We can navigate between them. Pattern length is how many steps there are. Clicking on new pattern will put in a new MIDI item on the pattern sequencer track at the edit cursor, just like that. The edit cursor position will be shown as a highlighted color in the pattern sequencer track. We can also jump to that position by clicking. And then to insert notes, we're just simply clicking on the grid buttons. We've got a mute and a solo button for each of the tracks. You can mute the entire sequence like that. If there's multiple tracks in the project, you want to mute solo all the drums, you can do it from here. We've got volume control, so volume control on the pattern sequencer track, because it's a folder track, will do all of your sequence. Individually, there's also volume and pan, and these are linked to, these are the actual controls of your track right there. And additionally, you have offset and swing amount per sequence here. So we're gonna just start off with pattern 1, and I will loop it, and let's get some sounds in here. So I'm gonna bring up the Media Explorer. I'm just going to grab some kicks and snares and things kind of at random. There's kick. Let's get a snare. Be nice if I could hear it too. Sure. So I'm just dragging and dropping into the pattern sequencer. And then we'll build up a little quick sequence. And then after that, I'll show you a trick with layering it with an instrument. So let's hide the Media Explorer. So I've got a few instruments in here. Let's sequence the kick. Let's just do 4 on the floor like this. Let's do the snare on every other. So every one of these red, the first step on the even patterns. And we'll do the clap on every other. The hi-hat, I'm going to do 3 hits. So it's left drag to insert notes, and it's right to delete. Okay, and let's just adjust the volume a little bit. It's a bit fast. Let's change this to like 78 and adjust my loop point. By the way, we could also dock this window. Let me zoom out here. So if I grab kind of the header and drag it down to the bottom of my Reaper window, this sort of black area in the dock tab comes up, and then I can snap it to different positions. I can fill this area. I can do just the top half. just the left side. Oh, it's a little tricky to get that just the left side. And so you can have multiple windows within here. Let's fill this area, and that's how it looks as a docked function. And we can run that shortcut to hide or show and hide our docks that way. We want to remove it from the dock. We can drag the blue corner, and now it's back to a floating window. Resize that. There we go. After putting in some of the notes in the sequence, we can see that there are separate MIDI tracks, MIDI items here, and each one has MIDI notes. They're all going to be the same MIDI note because these are one-shot samples, and they're just triggering a note on, essentially. If we come over to the right side, we have various things. So let's say for velocity, there's a velocity button that brings up the velocity sort of settings. And you can just draw in. You could hold down right drag to create a ramp. With Resamplematic 5000, which is the instrument that this is triggering, the velocity is not going to automatically map there. So we do need to change one thing before that will work. So we're going to hit float, and that brings up the instrument. We just need to set the minimum value. So they're both at 0, so it's always going to play at the default volume for this sample. To make velocity work with Resamplematic 5000, you need to have a minimum volume set. So let's say minus 36 is the minimum value. It will turn down as far as minus 36 below the original recording level, and that makes velocity work. So if I've got this and I'll solo it, these first two knobs, volume and pan, those are the track controls. Then the boost is the first volume control within Resamplematic. So this boost control is actually a boost going above 0 dB, the volume output of the virtual instrument. We can control the start and end times of the sample, make it super choppy. And then below that, there's pitch controls, even randomize, attack, decay, sustain, release. So increasing the release amount will give this a fade out. And you can just double click to reset any of those. But I'm going to bring that back out to the full length. The pitch can drastically change the mood of the sound. There is a shortcut for an octave down, one semitone down, randomize. You can left click this for a subtle random, or right click for a greater amount of random. So a single click could be like less than 1 up to maybe 3. And then right click will do like 10, 5, 14. So a big variation in the random. The pick button will allow you to pick a sample. Random, there are tooltips here, by the way, for each of these. Random sample will pick a random sample. It's just picking a different hi-hat from that folder. Included with this is theming. This is something that may change in the future, but we can take the, let's say, selector frame, which is this frame here, and change the color of that. Let's say blue. I think I did that right. Yeah, that's changing now. Steps even on, we can change that color. We can take this steps even off. So just dragging around here, you can kind of instantly see these changing. Steps odd off and steps odd on. And then there's a save button where we can save. You just pick which of these two. And if you go into the actual scripts folder here for the themes, you could duplicate one of these. And let's rename this. Should be able to save that to theme 3 now. Should be able to. Well, haven't tried that before. So I'm going to go to load, and I can go to theme 1, and then load theme 2, and load theme 3, or back to my custom colors. Pretty neat, right? I think it is. So one other thing you can do with this is actually trigger MIDI devices. I'm going to set up a track. I'm going to go to my synth, choose your MIDI device, my Poly D, and I can see that something's coming through already. And so with this track selected here, I'm going to click the plus button at the bottom of the sequencer. And then there's my synth track. And I'm just going to do straight 16th notes with this. Should be coming through now. All right, so what about pitch changes there? Unfortunately, to make pitch changes for that MIDI sequencing, you do need to do it another way. You have to come down to Reaper's own MIDI editor, and let's just do octave shifts. Let's just do some octave shifts. Go up an octave, and the last 2 notes, we're going to go down an octave. And here's how that sounds now. All right, and now let's add in reacomp, and I'm going to set this up for some sidechain compression. So let's do that. Let's come over to the mixer. And so with this plugin visible, let's take this, drag and drop, go into channels 3 and 4, do the same for the snare, 3 and 4. And now I have some pumping on that synth. So yeah, that's about all I wanted to show you with McSequencer. Again, it's a new free script. It's work in progress, but I think great progress so far. I really like it. And yeah, it's so sort of nostalgic for me because early versions of FL Studio is how I got started with music production. And I spent years with a sequencer just like that. Yeah, with all the limitations and stuff, it feels very comfortable for me. But yeah, there's more to explore. Please do try it out for yourself in the Reaper forum or in the comments section. Just give Arthur some love for this script. So that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Support the Reaper blog through Patreon and visit reaper.blog for more tutorials.